Well, this time of year it's about recruiting. You know, get a chance to watch the remainder of the NCAA tournament, and to say I was impressed and pleased to see how well the ACC really performed throughout the NCAA tournament, with 6 teams making it to the Sweet 16, with 4 teams in the Elite 8. That's half of the 8 best teams in the country. And then to have Syracuse, who finished tied for 9th in our league, make the Final Four, and Carolina to play in the national championship game, to me speaks volumes about the quality and depth of the ACC. And it's not been just this year. And the one thing I felt like I went back and reviewed some numbers, and a year ago, when we did not make the NCAA tournament, I compared our resume to Syracuse's resume, and I thought it was very favorable for us. You know, but there were some things also that they did that I think made them very attractive to the committee, and they certainly earned the respect that they garnered for playing at such a high level through the NCAA tournament. And their win over Virginia, I thought, was one of the most spectacular comebacks. There were a few this year. The one where Texas A&M came back on Northern Iowa, but the very next one was probably Syracuse's comeback versus Virginia. And you know Tony Bennett is a fantastic coach. You know he has great players. You know they've been so good for the last 3 years at least, and to think that Syracuse could be capable of coming back from that deficit and advancing to the Final Four is truly amazing, and a testament and a tribute to our league. Because I think when you play against teams that are in the ACC on a regular basis, where you're playing not one good team every couple of weeks, you're playing a top 25 team every night. You go into an Elite 8 game like Syracuse did, knowing that, hey, we've played against Virginia before, and even though we lost to them, we know our players are very, very capable of competing at this level.
I was just considering what you talked about Jay Wright before you played Villanova, your relationship with Jay. How did you feel in the championship game? You got Jay going against a fellow
Well, the way I looked at that, of course, you want the ACC team to win because you're affiliated with them. It's your league, and we take great pride in our league. But when they're competing against somebody I consider a dear friend, and also the team that beat us, and I have so much respect for what they've done, and admire the players in their program so much that we recruited them when they were in high school and would have loved to have had them in our program, so you kind of cheer for them as well. And Chris Jenkins, his high school coach, has been a dear friend of mine and our basketball program at George Mason and Miami for the last 20 years. So there's a lot of ties. The AAU coach that coached Josh Hart and Chris Jenkins and Nate Britt were also James Palmer's AAU coach. And again, a very dear friend of mine who hired my son, Jay, who's now at the Boston Celtics. When Jay got back from Europe from his playing days, his first non-paying volunteer job was with that AAU program called Team Takeover.
After watching Villanova do what they did, did it make you feel any better about your loss that Oklahoma would lose by 40 whatever?
Yeah, 44. I was just really impressed with them. I was before we played them. I believe I said in one of my earlier press conferences, I watched the Virginia-Villanova game back in November. And after watching it, I went and talked to my staff and said, hey, those two teams could make the Final Four. They are that good. I felt that way about Purdue as well. I watched Purdue early in the season when we were getting ready to play somebody, and they lost in the first round. Now, you can't predict this stuff because a radio sportscaster asked me legitimately how many teams could make the Final Four or could win a national championship. Well, and my belief is if you make the Final Four, you got a shot at winning the national championship. And he said in their discussions, most people thought eight to 10 teams could really have a chance at winning the national championship, get to the Final Four. They asked me what I thought, and I said I'd put the number at 24 to 30. And they said, you got to be kidding. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm serious because, first of all, you don't know who's going to be healthy. Second of all, you don't know who's going to be playing really well at that time. And third of all, some leagues are so good that you could finish fourth or fifth in a league, which in the country maybe you're not even in the top 25, and yet you still might be good enough to win the national championship. Well, Syracuse finished ninth, tied for ninth, and made it to the Final Four, and beat Virginia in the Elite Eight to get there. So if you can beat Virginia, it wouldn't surprise anybody if Virginia won the national championship because they were in the top 5 or 6 teams all season long. So for Syracuse to be able to do that, and one of the very key things with Villanova's run is Ochefu was injured in the Big East. He had a bad ankle. They lost in the championship to Seton Hall. Had that ankle not recovered enough, they could have very easily have lost because without him, they would not have had that inside scoring punch or that defensive presence.
Jim, can I come more on the game? Just quickly, Monday night, who did you think was going to win? Villanova, like before the game?
What I had the discussion with my wife, and because she really follows the game very, very closely, and we were kind of debating, and we both agreed a lot would depend on officiating and who could stay out of foul trouble. So when Chris Jenkins picked up his second foul, we thought that swung the favor in Carolina's favor. And then when he came back and played as well as he did in the second half, and some of the Carolina players were picking up early fouls, and Villanova, I can't remember when they got to the 1-and-1, but Carolina never fouls. And there was a time where like 4 straight fouls went against them or 6 straight fouls went against them. So I thought that started to swing things back in Villanova's favor. But we thought it was going to be a very close game. We thought those were 2 teams that were very deserving of being in the national championship, and that it very well could come down to a last shot or overtime.
Or 2 last shots.
Yeah,
That was a close game, but I think 10 out of the 15 games were all double-digit games. What happens there?
I don't know. If coming into the Oklahoma game, someone asked me about it. I said, I think it'll be very close, but if there's going to be a wide margin of victory like there have been in some games, I think Villanova will be the team that wins. And they asked me why. And I said, well, Oklahoma is almost strictly perimeter. So if they have a bad shooting night, but they said, well, Oklahoma beat Villanova back in November. I said, that if anything, hurts Oklahoma because their players might be thinking, man, we're already in the finals. And Villanova's players are thinking, hey, we got to play a whole lot better than we did the last time we faced these guys. And Villanova's defense was so good against us, we shot about as well as we can shoot, 53% from the field, 57% from 3, and still lost by 20. I'm like, wow. And some of the shots Chris Jenkins made, the shot he made with a minute to go in the first half with 2 seconds left on the shot clock was on the logo. That's like a half-court shot that looked like a layup. It was effortless. And I said that with them playing the way they are and the balance they have, they post you up with their guards. They're putting their guards in around the low post. So if they can score as well from what I call the A area, block to block in there, and they make threes, But Oklahoma is more of a strictly perimeter-oriented team and a fast break team. Well, you know Villanova is going to slow them down. And if they take away the inside game, Buddy Hield is going to have a 30 or 40 point night and make a lot of threes. And Buddy had a bad shooting night. And Villanova should get a lot of credit for the way they defend.
I sort of want to switch gears if everyone's done with last year. You know,
My team?
yeah, your team. Like next year, you got, I guess, 4 really good freshmen. I want to ask you.
Oh, you're talking about
Your team for next year.
for next season.
Next season, correct.
Okay. All right, well, we're not done recruiting.
Okay.
We have 2 scholarships available to us.
You said-
And we're still missing one. So right now, if you looked, we have 10 scholarship players and 3 open spots. That's a third of our team. So we still are very, very active in the recruiting arena. Second, we've had a very successful fall campaign. Very, very happy with the 3 kids that we signed. And we're hopeful we're going to sign another one next Wednesday. But what that does in our philosophy is it eliminates us bringing in another freshman. Unless the guy is a superstar, because we don't want to have an imbalance in the classes. It's one of the things we've been fighting since we got here because there was such imbalance when we first got here. So we're trying to avoid that at all costs. We only have 2 seniors, 2 sophomores, 2 seniors, 2 juniors, and 2 sophomores returning. Oh, we have a lot of openings. And to project us right now is impossible.
Well, I wasn't going to project you, but I was going to ask you specifically about Muhammad first. You know, he can play next year. You know,
Right.
what did you see from him in practices? How big an immediate scoring impact can he have for you?
Well, that will be a question we won't get answered until the season begins. In practice, there were days where he shot the ball incredibly well. He's a terrific three-point shooter. He also has some very good layups. But he came in here weighing 157 pounds. He's now up to 170. We're hoping we can get him up to 180 or 185 by next season because he needs that additional weight because in this league, it's such a high level of basketball and the players are so athletic and so physical.
He told me last October, he was 181. I'm thinking, no, probably not.
What did he say?
He said he was 181 October when we had the media day. I'm thinking, probably not.
Maybe that was his goal.
You sure you asked him what his weight was?
He'd be an expert.
You didn't ask him what Angel weighed or?
So, I mean, people would say, you know, he'll take over for McClellan, but it sounds like he's got a long way to go in that regard.
Oh, I don't know about that. You know, what I would say is he can really shoot the ball. His area that we'll be working with him on and spending a lot of time is on defense and rebounding. Because the difference in Sheldon when he became a defender is all of a sudden we became a much better basketball team. Sheldon McClellan didn't make the all-defensive team, but he could have. His improvement in that area was special. Now, his rebounding remained the same. But in observing and evaluating Rashad, he can really shoot the ball, but scoring is a strength of his, but you have to be able to defend and rebound because he's legitimately 6'5" or 6'6", and he's going to be guarding guys like Grayson Allen, guys like that. You better be pretty good defensively or the guy will get 35 on you. No, go ahead.
One of the things that you know, we hear about Bruce Brown, just from people that have watched him and you know, coaches and things like that, is that he's 19, but he's very physically developed and he could be a good defender next year. Is that what you see out of him?
I see Bruce Brown as a combination of Duran Scott, Sheldon McClellan, and Josh Hart. That's the kind of body type, athlete, you know, you see how high Sheldon McClellan can jump. Now, I don't know if Bruce can jump quite that high, but it's close. I mean, he's in the ballpark. You know, Durant Scott was great at driving to the basket, making some very creative layups. I would say Bruce Brown has that same skill set. Josh Hart can guard multiple positions. He can guard a 2, a 3, a 4, and I think Bruce Brown will be able to do the same thing. Will he be able to do it as a freshman? We hope so. We think so. But you don't know that until you actually get him in a college environment. One of the differences between high school and college is scouting. So when you are scouting an opponent, how quickly he can pick up the nuances of our defense and, you know, how he plays a guy that's using a ball screen, and, you know, how he plays a guy who's trying to post them up. It's different in high school than in college, because in high school, the guy that might be trying to post you up might be a Division III player, or maybe not even a college player. The guy posting you up in the ACC might be an All-American in college. So it's a lot harder to do it against a very skilled player.
What do you see from a point guard position with Angel gone, and what do you see Jaquan?
Are you available? It's going to be a challenge, and the challenge is really, if we turn the reins over to Jaquan, which right now is the plan, he's going to need to really work at completing a well-rounded game. He can score. He averaged double-figure points this year. And he can pass. The only thing is his assist-to-turnover ratio was 1-to-1. If he's really going to be the kind of point guard that can lead our team, he needs to improve that to 2-to-1 or 3-to-1. That would make him an outstanding point guard, but also make us a very good team.
And he did have, I mean, he was kind of careless at times.
Well, that's what you said. I just said he turned the ball over. Whether he was careless or not, the end result was the other team ended up with the ball.
So what's the other, is there another option, or is he's the option?
Well, the other option is we're going to be looking very, very closely at several different candidates. You know, one guy I can't mention today, but I can talk to you about him in a week or so. Another is Bruce Brown. Another is Anthony Lawrence, who played the position in high school. I've already told him he needs to continue to work on his ball handling, because if you look at his stats, his assist-to-turnover ratio is 2-to-1. So we might, you know, right now we're hoping and anticipating that Jaquan Newton is going to step into that role.
Jim, you just finished the most exciting part of your season. What's the level of excitement here in this? So you got 3 spots left. How much do you enjoy that challenge? Or do you not enjoy it, or is it?
Well, I enjoy all the challenges that we face. Some are more challenging than others. But to build the team correctly, it's not a matter of just signing guys. You got to sign the right guys, the right fit. And in one particular case, I had a guy call me and tell me, this is the kid. You got to sign him. He's great. He wants to come. And then I talked to my coaches, and they said, hey, this kid would come with a lot of baggage. And so you do your research and find out, well, he is a good player, but there are some off-the-court issues, academic issues, whatever it might be, that you say, we're going to pass on him and try to find somebody else. So there's a challenge to build the program correctly. I think we've done that. I think the community, by their show of support, selling out the games, has really jumped on our bandwagon, so to speak, and we hope that's not just 1 year, but an annual event where people are buying their season tickets, coming to the game, supporting this team, and that the students on campus will be coming to the games regularly so that we can be sold out game after game, year after year.
Having said that, do you notice it becoming, I don't want to say easier because it's not easy, but the situation more advantageous now, having started something like that?
Well, I think success breeds success. just like losing breeds losing. It's just hard. Like if you look at our program and just look at the guys that we brought here, Shane Larkin's team went to the state finals, 2 years in a row. I mean, he's a winner, a champion. I mean, he won a ton of games in high school. I don't know exactly what his high school record was during his 4 years, but it was very, very good. And you can look up and down our roster and see, like we signed Rodney Miller, who's 7 feet tall, 250 pounds. He's at Oak Hill Academy. I don't remember what their record is right now, but they're one of the best programs in the country. And Bruce Brown led his team to the prep school championship. And Dewan Yule's team won 4 straight state titles. And he was selected for the McDonald's All-American game. So we've tried to build with winners, guys who have enjoyed success. They know how hard you have to work to be successful, and they create a culture of success. And they know they have to work hard in the classroom. They know they have to work hard in the court, but they also know they're role models in the community. And we have a youth program that started yesterday called Kane Nation, and we had 50 young kids in this community in the gym and being coached by the University of Miami Sweet 16 men's basketball team. And those kids loved it. But that's the kind of relationship we want to have with the community, and that's the kind of responsibility we want to give our players, to set a high standard and be good role models.
You've had good success with the transfers in the last few years. Are you looking at, are there some maybe
Yes.
fifth-year senior guys?
Yes.
Who could come in
Yeah,
and
we're-
help
we're-
immediately?
Yes. Yes.
More out there this year than
They can handle the rock, right?
What?
I heard I saw somewhere that there seemed to be more out there this year than there have.
Well, there's really only 700.
How many of those have the 2-to-1 assist ratio?
The thing about this is really, I read a statistic that blew me away, that 50% of the kids who sign Division I basketball scholarships transfer by their sophomore year. 50%. That's half the players who sign with you are leaving by the end of their sophomore year.
Last year?
What?
That's a current statistic, like this year?
I read it recently, but I don't remember, when the article was written. But if you think about it, there's 700, I believe 700 now, or it's projected to be 700 this year. Well, there's only 350 Division I schools. That's 2 per school. So in a particular class, you sign 3 or 4 guys. If 2 leave,
Jim, what do you want to, you mentioned the guards, what do you want to see from, Kamari and Ibuka this offseason?
I want them to gain 15 pounds. Buka, 20. One of our challenges for next year is going to be overcoming our lack of, what's the word, dearth? What is it? What is it? Bulk.
Beef.
Yeah.
Is it, when you look at Villanova, I mean, when you say, okay, is that one thing that you say, hey, we need, JetBlue and things like this? Is that one thing you think you lack this year?
Oh, I don't think we lacked anything. I think we could have beaten Villanova, but not if they shoot 67% from 3. They're a great three-point shooting team, but 67%, come on. But what was very impressive to me is they had enough bulk to really compete with Carolina on the backboards, that their players were tough, aggressive, physically strong. Now, I think we're physically strong, but someone like Ibuka Zundu, 210 pounds, you're not pushing anybody around.
For that reason, do you think, is a guy like Rodney going to possibly
Well, I don't
play
know.
a little earlier?
No, I can't answer that. Rodney's going to be a freshman. Big guys notoriously develop slower than guards. Their skill level is a little bit slower. Their conditioning is normally behind. Their strength, he weighs 250. Can he bench 250? If you can't bench your own body weight, And I don't know the answer to that. He might be able to bench a 400. I can't tell you. But once we get him down here and get him into our strength and conditioning program, we'll find out right away and then identify the things that we have to help him improve in so he can contribute.
You know, recognizing you're not the trainer, but I mean, what's realistic for Kamari and Ibuka? Like, if they really.
Well, in Kamari's case, Kamari's not going to gain a lot of weight, and he doesn't really need to. He proved this year he can defend and he can rebound, and that's really where the strength and conditioning come in. In Buka's case, he's right in the same category as Tanya. Tanya weighed 215. Buka came in at 201. He's now 210. He had gotten up to 218, but the grind of the season, the travel, you're not eating consistently, he's back down to 210. So now we have him on, working with our strength and conditioning coach to be sure he's taking in enough calories. And we'll keep a close eye on him all summer, but realistically, he could be 230 next year, and if he is, he will be a major factor.
Are there any, sorry, folks, one more. Are there any other, you know, guys like maybe Lawrence, you know, he's a guy.
No, his weight and strength are not an issue.
Yeah.
No, we would more drop to Rashad Muhammad. And then you got to look at his weight and strength.
How do you feel about the nucleus of this team that you have compared to a couple of years ago when you came off your other Sweet 16 team?
This year's compared is
Yeah, is there more here, more potential here, or?
no. The answer to that is we got to wait and see because we're missing 3 scholarships. So we're not ready to go to war yet. We didn't stop recruiting until school began last year. We signed Rashad Muhammad the week before classes began. We had a rush to get his application in, get him processed, and get him a room. You know, I hope we don't have to do that again, but if we have a scholarship still available, we'll be looking for guys all summer long. Because we're already shorthanded by 1. We don't want to be shorthanded by 2. This year, we only had 10 scholarship players. Rashad Muhammad was the 11th, but he couldn't play. He was redshirting. When you only have 10 guys and someone gets hurt or someone's out, like Jaquan Newton missed 3 games. No, he missed 4 games. Now, when a guy misses and he's a double-figure scorer, you miss that. You know, he didn't play in our loss to Virginia Tech.
Were you surprised that James Palmer transferred?
No,
Yes.
not at all. Not at all.
Sense about that, yeah.
I think for most kids, the 700 that transfer, and in James's particular case, I think they come into college expecting a lot, and if you don't meet that expectation, they feel like, well, I need to find a place that will. And he's a good kid. He was a very nice contributor for 2 years, and I'm sure he'll be a very good player in his next stop.
On that same theme, Dwayne
Dewan.
has basically kind of said or suggested whatever, like, you know, he's a one-and-done type of candidate. That's something that you really haven't dealt with that much. You like to develop players, you like seniors, you've talked a lot about that. Do you see
Well,
that as the team progresses, that you're gonna attract more of those kind of guys that are super talented, but they're thinking one and done, and how do you?
Okay,
adjust
so
to that?
my first response is I really like senior leadership, but more than that, I like really good players. Whether they're freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, you want your players to be really good players, and Dewan is a very talented young man. Whether a player is one and done or not, I don't think you decide now. You decide at the appropriate time, which is at the end of your first year. I coached Ralph Sampson. At the end of the first year, he could have been the first player chosen. He decided to stay in college. At the end of his second year, he would have been the first player chosen. He decided to stay. At the end of his third year, he decided to stay. And at the end of his fourth year, he graduated from college and was the first player chosen. This is a different generation now. I don't think they've had a senior be the first player chosen since Kenyon Martin did it in the year 2000. I think it was 2000. Yeah, I believe it was. going to be 16 years, because they're not going to be a senior chosen first this year, 16 straight years where the NBA chose an underclassman. So it makes sense to these kids in the freshman class, if I have a great year, why not go pro? Because your stock actually drops the longer you stay in college. That doesn't make sense to me, but it has made a lot of sense to the NBA team, so.
How does it affect how you coach and how you
It's
approach a season?
We're going to recruit the best student athletes we can recruit out of high school. And if they're one and done, they're one and done. If they're two and done, like Shane Larkin, would I go back in time and say, you know, we really don't want Shane Larkin because he only stayed 2 years? I would say, well, let's try to sign the next Shane Larkin and hope that he's two and done. And if DeJuan ends up being one and done, then some other McDonald's All-Americans might look at us and say, look at the job that Miami did for DeJuan Ewell, let me take a stronger look at them.
When a player kind of states that goal, then again, maybe it's not fair to him because I don't know if we have what he actually said or anything, but does it concern you at all how he might fit in, to the team concept? or
Well,
something like that?
all these guys want to play in the NBA. So if you're a senior, you're one and done. You know what I mean? If you're a sophomore and you play great, that year, you're one and done. No one said Shane Larkin was two and done at the end of his freshman year. Did anybody in here write, hey, they're going to lose Shane Larkin next year, so they better sign another point guard? I know I didn't. I didn't think he would leave after 2 years. But by the way he played, he earned the right to make that choice. And he was chosen 18th in the first round. I think he was the fourth point guard chosen behind Trey Burke, Michael Carter-Williams, and Dennis Schroeder, and then Shane. So you can't do much better than that. If he had stayed, would his stock have risen? I don't know. You can't predict that. Could he have gotten hurt? Well, that's a possibility. So if DeJuan is focused on being one and done, what he has to understand, what everybody has to understand, not just him, but all our players, is it's about your development. You got to continue to work and get better at all the different things that will make you prepared to be an NBA player. So guys like Nerlens Noel was at Kentucky and was projected to be the first player chosen in the draft before the season started. He ended up being sixth, and then he ended up hurt and sitting on the bench and didn't play for a year. And so there's just too many variables, too many unknowns for anybody to predict what's going to happen. But again, if you ask me, would you rather have a DeJuan Ewell or someone who's staying for 4 years for sure because he ain't that good? I want DeJuan.
So what type of player do you think he is next year?
Well, I don't know. I haven't coached him yet. I haven't put him through a single practice. I've watched him play a bunch over the last 4 years. But high school and college are just so different. He went to the McDonald's All-American game. They played him at the 3. He's a 4-man.
Did you go to the coaches convention?
No.
I just wonder if there's been any discussion about rules of the game, talking about general.
I'm sure there was discussion. I'm glad I wasn't included.
What do you anticipate will get hammered out in the Island? Are you going to go to that? Or
Oh, yeah, you got to go to that. No,
anything you
nothing
wanna-
will get hammered out there.
anything you
No,
wanna-
I think those meetings are really brainstorming, but nothing happens then. Now, the spin-offs might be, very worthwhile, but
Are you finding that, with the success you've had, that a higher caliber of athlete that more higher caliber athletes are looking more,
that's a good
guys?
question that I don't really know the answer, because when we took the job, we immediately went after the very top guys we could. It doesn't certainly get easier, because if you get involved with the top guys, take a guess who else is recruiting them. We were involved with Joel Berry. He goes to Carolina. We were involved with Derek Thornton. He went to Duke. We were involved with Chris Jenkins and Josh Hart. And, you know, those are old guys. You know, one of our first recruits was James Robinson. He started Pittsburgh. And his buddy from AAU ball was Jeremy Grant. He went to Syracuse. And so the guys we're competing against, it's not like we're beating a team that you say, oh, no brainer, he's got to go to Miami. No, it's, oh, wow, Florida, Florida State, Duke, Kentucky, Carolina, Michigan State, and UCLA are after this kid. Think we'll get him?
But now you're Sweet 16, 2 years out of 4. I mean, the players see that, and they see the style you guys play on TV,
And it's
a lot of
helping.
exposure.
It's helping.
Can you explain the socks?
Yeah,
Are
this
you
is-
kidding?
this is
Get the
nice.
camera on the socks.
Since we have a look at them.
They're nice. I love them.
These are Adidas socks. And I'm wearing them every day, and I hope everybody notices them so that the Adidas stock goes up. And then maybe Blake James can negotiate even a better Adidas deal. But I am absolutely shocked when I found out how much revenue is produced by socks by shoe companies. So these socks and the millions and millions that Adidas sells is very, very profitable business. I'd like to have even like 1%.
What's that logo on the sock there?
I'm thinking it's Derrick Rose, but I can't be sure. Let me see.
It's not the 3 stripes.
Did you buy those for yourself?
No. Buy? I got them from Adam Fisher. You can ask him.
Laughing when he gave them to you?
Oh, these weren't the only ones. I have red, white, and blue. I have black and some other weird turquoise and green. I mean, all of them are like, but you know what? And it was funny. I was wearing the all black Adidas. It's really like a sock for your sneakers, right? But they're so darn comfortable, I wore them with my dress shoes. But I wore a black suit, so I had to wear black socks. So I told Fish, see if they can get me some black socks. So I wore the black socks with it, and they shined the camera on me just before they did the opening jump against Villanova. I don't know if you saw that. But I'm sitting there. I picked up like a pebble or something in my shoe, so I took my shoe off. And on the black ones, you can see the Adidas logo. And I put it back on. The camera was behind me, so it didn't catch it. And I thought, I wonder how much that would have been worth.
Adidas would love
Well,
that.
you don't have to go with black socks anymore, with the black suit. You can-
I know. I saw it. Have you seen some of the, like Jay Williams and Seth Greenberg, the color socks they wear?
As long as you don't start dressing like Russell Westbrook, I think we're okay.
Why, how does he dress?
Some skinny
Oh.
jeans, skinny joggers.
He just,
Crazy patterns.
Did you guys see the website of the top 16 guys? Yeah. Oh, no, it wasn't that. It was NCAA tournament. Sheldon McClellan was in there.